We both like more perfect union, and they do good work. But if an organization thinks that it's going to become a progressive response to Charlie Kirk on college campuses around the country, you have to think long and hard about who you're trying to appeal to when you put certain people at the forefront. You also have to take into consideration all that is going on around college campuses around the country. If you are not leading with an anti-Israel message, you don't deserve any support. This is the issue of our time. Everything else basically comes second because of everything that they control. Anything that you want, this is a problem. Very good point. Data centers. Why do we need them? Are you really benefiting from data centers? No, but the rich and powerful are. That's what it's there for. Data centers are specifically for, they're for war. They're for war games. It is the military-industrial complex on steroids. That's what it is. When I hear people say data centers create jobs, yeah, just like oil pipelines create jobs. What would really create jobs here in the United States is if we had a jobs program for the jobs that are really needed to advance our society. Do you realize that China has 6,000 kilometers more high-speed rail than we do? Imagine how many jobs that could create. I'm a huge advocate for nuclear power. Think about all the nuclear power plants in parts of the country where nobody lives that you could easily have it there and power cities around the country without having to do it through coal or natural gas. But no, we don't have that. Why would we? And I'll show you a very good example. Colin, can I have the Duke story, please? If you are attempting to do anything around the United States and you think you're going to have a story that doesn't get addressed like this one, this is an example of whatever they have planned, whatever more perfect university is. If you don't address this issue and if you don't become controversial, then there is no point. Student Affairs freezes funding, revokes recognized status for Duke's SJP chapter. Now, what is SJP? Students for Justice in Palestine. Duke's Students for Justice in Palestine chapter has been suspended for organizational activity after the Office of Institutional Equity received complaints about an alleged, again alleged, anti-Semitic Instagram post, setting off a weeks-long dispute between the group and Student Affairs over the authority behind the disciplinary actions. On March 24th, Ben Adams, Senior Associate Dean of Students for Quad X, informed SJP leaders that OIE had received complaints regarding a March 13 flyer promoting an SJP general body meeting published on the group's Instagram. According to email correspondence obtained by the Chronicle between SJP leadership and the OIE, 10 students had filed complaints. Would you care to guess who those 10 students were? The flyer featured an illustration by artist Emory Douglas, originally published in the newspaper The Black Panther in 1970, depicting two pigs, one labeled U.S. imperialism, holding the torch of liberty, and the other labeled Zionism, holding the Star of David. In a subsequent email to SJP leadership, Adams wrote that the depiction of the pig holding the Star of David is alleged harassment under the policy of prohibited discrimination, harassment, and related misconduct. Keep this in mind, and this is a very important part of the story here. Notice how he doesn't give a flying fuck about any of this being thrown at America. But if you throw it at Israel, well, then that's a bridge too far. Now we have a problem. So again, they give away the game every time. They don't even hide it anymore, which they shouldn't, because that's better. If you don't hide it, more people might see it. Adams, on behalf of Student Affairs, asked the group to remove the post, which it voluntarily did. Then Student Affairs restricted SJP's recognized group status and froze its funding. So not only did they get on their knees for them, they still fucked them anyway. So what's the point? Why give in? This is one thing that we know for sure. Why give in? When you know what they're going to do anyway. The best you could do is be defiant. If you're going to lose standing on your feet. Don't lose sitting on or getting on your knees. What's the point? Emails from SJP leadership to OIE show that the post was referring to for including anti-Semitic imagery, sure, which may violate the PPD HRM policy. Per the procedures of the initial assessment, which is currently being carried out, is conclusive. SJP would receive a notice of allegation signifying that a formal investigation has been opened. Under PPD HRM, OIE holds the jurisdiction to enact measures against student organizations, and even then, those measures are labeled as supportive, which cannot be imposed for punitive or disciplinary reasons and are meant to restore or preserve a party's access to Duke's programs and activities. However, according to the emails, the funding and student group status were revoked by Student Affairs, not OIE. The Chronicle revealed an email where SJP leadership sent OIE a written account of a meeting where OIE confirmed it did not authorize or initiate the freeze or Instagram post takedown request, and that a formal investigation has not yet been opened. OIE did not dispute SJP's account of the meeting. Through subsequent correspondence with Adams, SJP leadership contested the jurisdiction of Student Affairs to impose disciplinary measures. Duke SJP is committed to engaging with a process, good faith, and following the procedures. Yes, I'm sure they are. Holding ourselves accountable to these standards and likewise expect any authoritative body to act within its proper scope and on the basis of clear established policy. Adams responded that the Dean of Students' office holds independent authority to implement interim measures on recognized student organizations. He said the decision reflects both the current complaints and the cumulative context of prior conversations with SJP leadership over the past 2 years, as well as the organization's social media activity. Scroll down a little bit, Colin. In response to the Chronicle's inquiry on the intention of the cartoon and the general body meeting post, SJP leadership said the image was never intended to be anti-Semitic. Again, if you're explaining, you're losing. And the criticizing Zionism as a political movement is not the same as targeting Jewish people. They added that in the same issue of the Black Panther where the image appeared, it explicitly stated that the struggle is directly solely against what it calls the Zionist regime. But remember, in the United States, Zionism and Judaism are considered one and the same. You cannot break up from those two things. And so if you're going to start any type of a movement around the United States to meet with students on campuses, the only way forward is if you truly break away from the establishment. But the one thing we've noticed about these organizations, including by the two people that are apparently leading More Perfect University, Elise Joshi and Jack Cioccarella, they're part of the Democratic Party establishment. They may claim that they're on the outside looking in, but we all know that when push comes to shove, they're going to do exactly what they all do. They are going to fall in line and tell you to vote against a Republican. Why? Because they're two birds of the same, they're two wings of the same bird. That's what the problem is. And they don't want to accept that. And the big difference in the America First movement is they have accepted that the two-party system is broken and can't be fixed. There are still way too many people who think it can be on the Democratic side. And that's the ultimate sin.